indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Everybody, please sign in. Okay, hold on. I think he's got to do something. Danny, please. Yes, sir. Me. Wallace. All right, call the roll.
Present. Bain present. Bird present. Collins present. Crickmore present. Lawrence present. Everly present. White present. Wilson present.
Every September, it's state law that we have to elect a chairman of the school board for the next coming year. So I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Nidifer, and he'll handle the nomination.
I nominate Mike Orrick.
I'd like to nominate.
What about now, Mr. Chadwell? Okay. We will open the floor at this time for nominations for the Campbell County Board of Education.
Mr. Nidifer, I'd like to nominate Mike Orr in order to keep the board unified and keep moving forward. I think he's done a good job, so I'd like to nominate Mr. Orr.
Mr. Orr is on the table. Do we have another nomination?
I make a motion that we close the nomination.
Okay. The nomination has been closed by Ms. Faye Heatherly. So I guess at this time you need to cast your vote. The only person on the table is Mr. Mike Orrick for chairman of the Campbell County Board of Education.
Do we need to take a vote on the closing, Mr. Orr? Closing nomination. So you'll need a second. I'll second that.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Okay.
Okay, now cast your vote. Ms. Parks, read the votes, please.
Orrick, yes. Bain, yes. Birch, yes. Collins, yes. Crickmore, yes. Lawrence, yes. Everly, yes. Reiner, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passed.
That would be on the vote to close the nomination. We got another vote for the chairman.
I need a nomination at this time to close the vote.
No, you don't.
We done
You just
that.
need to vote on the chairman vote.
Let's vote on the chairman.
Got you, Mr. Marlowe. Now vote for the chairman of the board. Ms. Gale, read the vote.
Orrick, yes. Bain, yes. Birch, yes. Collins, yes. Crickmore, yes. Goins, yes. Everly, yes. Reiner, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passed.
Well, thank you, Mr. Burge. I appreciate that. Look forward to working with this board another year. I think we've got some challenges ahead of us, but I think together we can achieve those goals. So the next item is the election of a vice chairman. I'm going to open the floor for nominations. And
Nominate Clint Bain.
I got a nomination for Mr. Bain.
I second.
Don't have to have a second. Do I have any more nominations? I'm going to nominate Ms. Crystal. She was my vice chair last year. And is there any other nominations?
I make the motion of nominations.
I've got a motion for nominations to cease.
Second.
Have a second? Second. All right, now we're going to vote on nominations to cease first. Please cast your vote to cease the... Mr. Collins?
Who are we voting on now?
To cease the nomination. Show us the vote, please.
Warwick, yes. Bain, yes. Burge, yes. Collins, yes. Creekmore, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Rodner, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passed.
In the past, we've always voted on the last person nominated, so we're going to vote on Ms. Creekmore first. Anyone wish to vote for Ms. Creekmore, vote yes now. Press confirm. Show us the vote.
Warwick, yes. Bain, no. Burge, yes. Collins, no. Creekmore, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, no. Rodner, no. Wilson, no. Motion passed.
You said Johnny Burge voted no, and you said yes.
I'm sorry, Burge, no.
Nomination fails. Now we're voting on Mr. Bain, please. Jeff, can you reset that, please?
Crystal, vote yes and confirm.
Yes, board.
So you can become part of the discussion.
You had to reset it. All right.
I wouldn't vote yes.
There you go.
Now you can vote. We're voting on Mr. Bain, please. Mr. Collins. Show us the vote.
Warwick, abstain. Bain, yes. Burge, yes. Collins, yes. Creekmore, no. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Rodner, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passed.
Congratulations. We're going to move on now. The recognition of guests. Generation X Education Representative, who is that? Come up to the podium here, please, and please introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Phyllis Klingner, and I am with Community Health of East Tennessee. And I'm also very active with the Campbell County Anti-Drug Coalition, which is the primary reason why I am here this evening. And to my right, Raywin Snodderly, who is a pharmacist and the Young Tennessee Pharmacist of the Year. So I'm grateful to have her here with me. Our purpose for coming to you this evening is to ask for your permission and your support as we pursue a wonderful opportunity that has been given to us as a county where we would have the availability of trained professionals who could come in and work with our area youth, as well as a variety of our constituents across the county in the safe use of medications and the fact that misuse of medications is a very serious thing. Each one of the board members has received a pamphlet that's called Generation RX. That's part of the packet that you have. And you also have received a copy of this month's edition of the Anti-Drug Coalition newsletter, which also includes some of the background information about this opportunity coming into our county. And ladies and gentlemen, I hope that you did also pay attention to the fact that we have the text-to-tip card attached to it as well, so that you would know about that, which is a service available in our county thanks to a very unique collaboration. And that's what we're talking about, a very unique collaboration. So I'm going to step aside because the lady who's really responsible for allowing this to happen with your support and the support of our school district is the lady to my right. So let me step aside.
Hello, I've had the privilege of meeting many of you and knowing most of you my whole life, but some I haven't met. But my name is Raywin Snotterly, and I am a pharmacist at Terry's Pharmacy here in La Follette and in Jacksboro. This summer I had a wonderful opportunity to attend some continuing education and also to be part of a group of unique pharmacists that are preparing all across the United States to launch programs such as Generation RX. This program particularly is a wonderful fit for Campbell County as we're in an area known as the hot zone. I discussed this with the principals last week, and what that simply means is where I-75 comes straight down through Campbell County and I-40 is right in Knoxville. We unfortunately are in a place where drug abuse and drug trafficking occur. So as a result, it puts us on a map that was red, then it became dark red, and now we're slowly transitioning to purple. What we are finding is that 1 in 4 teenagers are using or experimenting with drugs. What this program, how it came about was the Cardinal Foundation for Health and the University of Ohio State created this program, and they have a professor along with the education department at Ohio State have created a collaboration together to particularly focus on elementary, middle, high school, college, and senior age children, or senior age adults. And with this program, what they want the health professionals to do and what they ask us to do is to go out into our communities, into our school systems, into our senior centers, and educate on the proper use of medication, and also educate on how to set good examples as role models. As you can see in the packet, what we want to focus on particularly is the elementary age school as our pilot program. As you can see, I know that there are plenty of restraints that the school system has upon the teachers time-wise. So we have discussed after-school programs and various other opportunities of when we will have access to these kids. But there are tools available that not only teach the proper utilization of medication, but they also teach addition and subtraction, multiplication and division. And it's all specific age-based. So the design and the thought behind this would be that we will go into the school, the elementary programs, and be that face for the kids that they know that if they have questions about medication or medication is being used improperly or they are actually sick and they need to see the doctor, that they will know who they can go to. It is a program that is completely free. I will be providing my services along with partnering with various pharmacy schools across the South that will send pharmacy students to me. They are required in their 4th year of internship to complete around 2,500 hours. So those kids will be I will be, in essence, their professor. They will be in our community working on this particular program, and will, of course, receive grades for that. They receive no monetary compensation. As I said, this is a free program, and it is something that I think would set us apart in the state and really truthfully in the South. So if you have any questions, please feel free to contact me or here, but Phyllis has some other information about some of the logistics.
And it is the logistics that we're concerned about. This is such a unique opportunity, and we want to take the time to do it right. That's the reason why we're asking for your support. We would like to start out with a pilot. We're going to start out with a dog and pony show here. It'll be Raywin and myself working with your school district staff in trying to set up a system that's going to make sense, and then to, in fact, put that into place so this can be operational as quickly as possible. We hope to start experimenting with this around the 1st of October if we are ready to go. Obviously, we want to have a strong memorandum of understanding in place. Obviously, we need to have background checks and that kind of thing in place for the two of us. And in addition to that, we also want to have the support of communities, agencies such as Recovery Court. What's astounding to me, ladies and gentlemen, is when we have interviewed a number of our Recovery Court participants, their drug usage started at the age of 10. That's why we want to start at the elementary level. Yes, the middle school is definitely in need, and we will do some things with them eventually. High school, there's still some serious needs there, but we have got to cut this off early and help them understand that there are other options and that they do not need to follow the same path as perhaps other members of their family or the peer group that they're running with. We feel very strongly about that. In addition to that, we also want to use whatever mechanisms we can to broadcast the success of the program. So we will have reporting that we'll do. We have a steering committee that's going to be overseeing how this works and reporting. We'll be reporting back to the steering committee. But most of all, we just want to get this information into the hands of our youth as quickly as possible. It's not all serious stuff. Some of it is fun and games and puzzles, things that we could easily do before school, during lunch, after school, before athletic events, all kinds of possibilities. The sky's the limit, but we're going to start out slow. Is there anything else, Raywin? All right. We so appreciate your time. It is very warm, and so we don't want to overextend our stay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Mr. Nidifer, can you assign someone from your staff, maybe Johnny, one of them to be the point person?
Yes, sir, we'll do that.
And then we have a policy committee that Faye?
Yes, the chairman, yes.
Faye chairs that committee, and I think they're getting ready to give another look at the drug policy. So let's get them a copy of that, too, if you don't care. Thank you.
Thank you.
Heather Millsap. Is Heather here? Paul Sweat.
My name is Paul Sweat, and I thank Ms. Heatherly for the opportunity, Mr. Nidifer, and the school board to hear what I'm going to bring before the school board. In past years, I have took the puppet and bullying program into all the elementary schools and done that program. We were at Westlaw Follett Elementary doing a circus over there, and Sheriff Ron McClellan come up and asked us if we would be...
Paul, would you pull that microphone up there just a little bit?
Sheriff Ron McClellan asked us if we would be interested in starting a program in the elementary schools to teach them about drug awareness, puppet skits, I have the 2 skits, if you all need a copy, to pass around and see that I've wrote.
God, it's so
On the top copy of the page, you will find the order of service that we do in the elementary schools. Starting with the introduction, and that will be Becky Evans. And then introduction to the Voice of the Wilderness Task Force Puppet and Drama Team Bullion and Myth program. Becky Evans introduces the program. We also go over 3 sets of rules. Becky is the one that is out in front, and there is a puppet that goes over the 3 rules. Rule 1 is keep your hands to yourself, which is done with a puppet. Stay in your seat. And Rule 3 is have a good time. Attitude check is also done by the puppet. And the attitude check is when someone in the program says attitude check, the children scream, meth is death. It's been real effective, and they really enjoy that, and it really sticks with them. After that, we go into the bullying skit, which you have that you can read over. The next part of the program is a puppet song, and it is by Keenan West, and it is called The Bullion Project, and the song is Never Ever. Finally, on down, there is a game. It is called the shoe game or the balloon game. The shoe game is where you get students involved. You take and get the boys and the girls, probably about 6 students. They put their shoes in a pile, and then when we say go, the first team that gets their shoes on wins the game. We have also involved the teachers as well for the students and the teachers to be involved. Last but not least, there is a bullying skit that we go over with the puppets that we do. And after that's over, I come before the students and I speak to them about things that they go through today. Not only about staying in school and studying, but about bullying and about staying away from drugs and alcohol. And then finally, we have a drama skit that we have set up with my puppet team that we do at the end of the program. And this involves, we have a garbage can that says do not touch, and then we have several different scenes that we're going to set up as we've done in the past. The first scene is there is a drug dealer, and then he walks up, the first person that he talks to, he offers them meth, and when they take it, they just simply hold it in their hand. The second part of the skit, the same drug dealer walks over and hands the second person pills. She don't take them, nobody ingests, she just simply has them in her hand. The third skit is where the drug dealer comes over and stands by himself. The fourth part of the skit is about 2 school, not friends, but one girl is bullying the other. The third one, the final last part of the skit is about where there are 2 people and they are drinking. Well, they're not really drinking, they're standing and holding it in their hand. Now, here's where the skit gets really interesting. My son, which is here, it is a musical skit. It is done by music. What he does when everybody gets through and they're standing there, he walks over and talks to the very first person. He convinces her during the skit with the music. She walks over, she dumps the packet of meth in the garbage, which says do not touch. The second part is to come to where the pills is. He walks over during the music, talks to her, She goes over, puts hers in the garbage can that says do not touch. The third thing is the drug dealer. Now, he don't look like what you would think a drug dealer looks. He comes up and talks to him, and he comes up and puts his stuff that he has in the garbage. And then also, he comes up and talks to the girl that is bullying and the girl that is getting bullied. He also walks over and talks to the people that are trying to make a decision what to do. But the thing about it is, about this last part, every time that my son comes to those people and they throw those drugs in the garbage can, they walk up to the front of the puppet stage and they kneel down. He goes through each and every one of these, and they go up and they kneel down. Because we live in a county, I don't have to tell you, that is overrun with a drug problem. Drug addiction is like cancer. My dad passed away a year ago, about a month ago, from cancer. And the thing about it is, with cancer, you can't prepare to realize if you're going to get it or not. But my dad would have done everything he could have if he could have extended his life longer. We don't need to wait till we get kids in middle school and high school before we decide to do something. We often, after they get out of high school, they go on about their lives and they turn into a worse drug addict than what they are. But I'm here today to bring this program before you to ask you for the opportunity to do it. And for the last part, at the end of the program lasts for about 30 minutes. It's once a year in the elementary schools, and there is no cost to anyone. Years ago, when I got this program together, I sent puppets, music, videotapes, the size of the puppet stage. I sent that to the Philippines. They got it working, and they sent 20 teams into the schools in the Philippines. I was asked earlier this year that if I would be interested in going to Africa for 3 months. I decided I wasn't going to because I felt like that this program was very important to this county. And that's why that I bring it before you to ask you that if we can. One more thing, and I will close. 23 million over the age of 12 are addicted to drugs. U.S. Substance Abuse Administration says on an annual basis, every day, 707,000 teenagers smoke pot. It also says that on a daily basis, 457,672 teenagers drink alcohol on a daily basis. I've grew up in this county. At a very early age in my life, I became a drug addict, starting in middle school. It was as far back as that early. Went on to high school, nothing changed. Got further into drug and alcohol addiction, and it nearly took my life. The woman that was speaking earlier was very right. We want to start programs for the elementary schools, but there is something that is desperate need for the middle school and the high school. What I'm also asking you is if I would be permitted, maybe one time a year, to go into the middle school and go into the high school and give basically my testimony about the drug addiction that I had and what got me free. I'm not a recovering drug addict, and I'm not a recovering alcoholic. I am a recovered drug addict, and I'm a recovered alcoholic. What I want to do is I want to make sure that these kids in Campbell County have every opportunity to deal with this situation before we do at a later time. Not only that, Alan Shepard, the police officer, which is my pastor, our church has purchased somebody purchased a bread truck. We're in the process of getting it together, having it wrapped during the summertime or during functions in the community, driving it out to maybe apartment buildings, the projects, and doing a puppet and a drama skit there. Not only that, but we are going to be feeding the students. Not only that, we will be, when we're able to get into the community, talk to some parents about what's going on. And not only that, Terry Hill, I've talked to him, he is in the process of working some things out for this community with the business, people in this community and the business to head the drug addiction problem off and to get it fixed as a whole. So we're not just trying to fix the problem on an early level, we're trying to reach it community-wide. And that is the reason that I've come to the school board to ask to see if we will be able to do this.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to comment. I know Mr. Sweat and Shirley. They're a fine family. His grandmother's a really great person, too. I've heard his testimony, and I think it's something that the kids should hear. And what he didn't tell you, though, he was the best Little League baseball pitcher I've ever seen. Because I used to umpire, and he could fire the ball, so he didn't tell us that part. But I said that to say this, he is real in what he's doing. I can't say that much for him, and I appreciate what you're doing, and hopefully it might lead somebody down the right path.
Yeah.
So I just wanted to comment on that.
Are you currently doing it in other school districts?
No, I called in to the Campbell County Board of Education and asked to speak to Mr. Nidifer. And I talked to Lakin Hill. She was very helpful. And Lakin told me to give her a couple days. And if no one had called, just call back. I called back on Wednesday and asked again who was supposed to do it. And she informed me that Mr. Bruce was the one that handled that type of thing. And so she said, if they don't call you back within that time, in a couple days, call me back. She gave Mr. Bruce my number. I received no phone call Friday. And so she said, wait, and I will talk to Mr. Nidifer and see. Didn't receive a phone call back Monday. But when I talked to Lakeland, I was informed that Mr. Bruce said that we could not do the program in the elementary schools. He had somebody coming from Nashville to do that, which is great. As much drug awareness that we can give is excellent.
Yeah, absolutely.
But after that, I couldn't, my hands were tied.
Well, I think, I'm not going to speak for the other board members, but I think the majority of the board would be in favor of the program.
Yes.
The only thing I would ask is that you submit the information to our attorney, let him look at everything to make sure everything's good.
Okay.
And then maybe Mr. Nidifer can get with you this week.
Okay.
And
Is that something Mr. Nidifer can approve of?
I think so.
Yes.
But I do think our attorney needs to review some of the information to make
Okay.
sure that we'll give him a copy, right? Okay?
Mr. Chairman, I spoke after Mr. Sweat called me. I spoke with Tammy Lay, and she said that you had done this in previous years in our schools, and it was very successful. And she spoke very highly of the program. So I just want to add that.
The reason I say that, there may be something we need to sign
Okay.
with you. I don't know, but we'll let our attorney look at that.
Okay.
But Mr. Nidifer will get with Mr. Bruce and you, and we'll submit the documents to our attorney.
Okay.
And hopefully you can get something started right away.
Okay, thank
Is
you.
everybody good with that?
No, I can, Paul Sweat, my number is 423-437-2170.
Thank you, Mr. Sweat.
Thank you.
Next item is to approve the consent agenda. What's the pleasure? Have a motion.
Second the motion.
A second. Any discussion? Cast your vote. Mr. Collins. Mr. Collins. Sarge. Anyone wish to change their vote, show us the vote.
Ford, yes.
item is to approve the regular agenda. I've got two typographical changes. Item 8D, instead of vice chairman, it needs to read vice president. And item E needs to read as a bus driver pay rate instead of a pay scale. So what's the pleasure of the board? Have a motion to approve the agenda. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Cast your vote. Anyone wish to change their vote? Show us the vote.
Ford, yes. Bain, yes. Birch, yes. Collins, yes. Crickmore, yes. Goins, yes. Heather, yes. Ryder, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you. Next item, comments from the chair. I want to say again, I appreciate your all's support and remind you that on September the 22nd y'all should have got a check. It's our travel check to the Fall District meeting in Alcoa. Is that correct, Ms. Fay?
It is. Yeah. It's a brand-new, state-of-the-art high school. It's just been built, so we're all looking forward to going. And Mr. Nidifer has information about transportation.
If you'd like to ride with Miss Fay Heatherly or myself, or all of us together, please contact her. She's going to set up the van, bus schedule, or whatever. If I can take 4 in my car, but if we need a van, we will do like we did last year. Just contact Miss Fay, and we will make arrangements for the 22nd.
What time are we going to plan on leaving? Anybody got a time yet?
We'll be there.
It starts at 6, I think. I will just contact everybody personally and let you know what time we need to leave.
I want to ride.
Okay.
I need a ride.
We'll coordinate that through Ms. Fay. Okay.
Okay, Mr. Danny.
All right, that's all I have. Comments from the director's monthly report.
Folks, I'm going to run through some things rather quickly because I know it's warm here, but Wednesday and Friday we have professional development offered by STARS that has to do with culture and climate in classrooms, bullying, harassment. They will be working with teachers and principals. You're going to hear 2 or 3 things. I was at a director's meeting 23rd, 24th, 25th. Several things you may hear, terms such as MICA, M-I-C-A, which is Measurement Incorporated Classroom Assessment. All that means is the 10 ready test. Also, there's a term called MIST. It has nothing to do with flu shots. That is the writing assessment and the practice for that. Jack Cannon is working hard to get our technology where it needs to be, so when it becomes testing time, we'll have the adequate bandwidth in place. One other thing that come out of the director's meeting is pretty important. This is a baseline year for all testing. Folks will be measured from 1 to 144 in relationship to any MOUs that come out next year. TVOS will stay the same. That'll be part of the teacher evaluation. Coordinated school health, we just got a $75,000 grant for the flu shots. Also, we have the TCAT in Jacksboro have offered us 50 to 60 student nurses to do BMI, vision, and color screening for all of our students, well, basically in kindergarten, 2nd, and 4th. We had discussions with Rome State Community College and TCAT on what they call middle college or middle technical school, where basically a student starts their college career as a junior. And there's much work to be done there. And any of these things, if you guys have a question after the meeting, just stop me and we'll discuss them. I had Mr. Rutherford to pull together some of the things that's happening in the world of maintenance. We had about 348 work orders since July 1st to the present, 87 HVAC issues. 6 of those were rather large issues, and 25 of them were what we call PTAC, or in-the-wall units. I sent Robbie Heatherly to Knoxville on Thursday. He picked up 5. We're going to purchase 5 more tomorrow, and with what repairs we make, it should get us close to being back online. The big units are just minor condensers, capacitors, that kind of stuff that need to be replaced. 14 sewer stop-ups and 81 orders that's not complete as of today. And I've asked Mr. Rutherford just to put that in the form of a report each month for you guys so it can get to you. Mr. Robbie Heatherly is going to do us an SRO report and an ISS report each month. Basically, the first month of school, most schools had 0 incidents, but we've had 1 arrested for intoxication, 1 arrested for assault. Our SROs really help us greatly with traffic and just general supervision of our schools. We've had 2 that were arrested for internet issues, getting where they don't belong, and 3 for drug and alcohol issues. So we'll get that report out to you each month also.
That's wonderful.
And that's about all I have, but it's been a rather busy month in the school system.
Well, Mr. Nidifer, I might say that early on when you were first appointed, that you promised that you would keep an open door and communication, and I have to say you've done that, and this is another step toward that, because the more informed we are as a board, the better we can operate.
And I'll say one other thing. We have discussed, a lot of us, how we can kindly solve this HVAC situation. And I think the solution to that is just purchase 20 to 25 of these PTAC units that go in the wall in May or June, because what happens is July rolls around, more and more of these 277-volt units are balled up. Warehouses are cleaned out.
Don't have
So that is our plan next May. And one last thing, Mr. Morrow has worked hard with us in securing funds for those. Plus, he has worked hard with us the last 2 or 3 weeks on developing. When we make new hires, we need those folks in the system, concrete on paper, in the computer system before we actually send them out to the workplace. So we're going to clean that up as we move along.
Larry, you handed out this report that Steve prepared about the transportation, the breakdown on buses. Could you also put why those buses didn't run? Like you had bus 8 on here, it didn't run on the 7th and the 10th. Do you know why? Okay. Just do that if you don't, but that's a good report. Thank you.
Mr. Nidifer, how many heat and air units do we have on all the schools?
Oh, God.
We have approximately 1,100, and George, one thing about it, they have one here not working tonight, but George back there supplies us with that information. Yes.
Any other questions for Mr. Nidifer? All right, we'll move on. Next item's to Director of Finance, Director's monthly report, and then let's see, recognize Jeff Marlowe, Finance Director.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Monthly financial reports, I put you in the package, both the June 30th with the report perspective as well as the July report. We'll go over the July report. General purpose school fund, cash trustee, $3.1 million. Over a couple of pages, you'll see the revenue reduction of 1.4%, took in $554,000 over $39 million in July. Our appropriation utilization 3.2%. Not uncommon when you use a lot of cash in July and September. The federal project school fund next quarter over $36,000 cash. Totally running on our own cash balance of $500. We're actually about $65,000 into that cash balance. Revenues over and appropriation utilization both at 1.9%. Should be in balance, and it is. The final one is the Central Cafeteria Fund. Cash trustee is $822,000. Revenue production is 1%. Obviously, no revenue much. Thanks to some feeding programs in July, and appropriation utilization 6%. For the reason we have to have significant fund balances, because we have to have significant cash balances to start. If you look at just the range between the general purpose school fund June 30th cash balance of $4.78 million versus the July 31st cash balance of $3.1 million, it doesn't take long to eat $1.7 million.
All right, what's the pleasure? Can I get a motion to approve this report?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions for Mr. Marlowe? Cast your vote, please. Ms. Fay.
It didn't go. I didn't push it right.
Anyone wish to change their vote, show us the vote.
Gordon, yes. Thain, yes. Byrd, yes. Collins, yes. Creedmoor, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, abstained. Rodner, yes. Wilson, yes.
It still didn't do.
You want to,
I want to change it. Yeah, I did. I pushed it.
just tell them you want to make
It's,
it on a record, and we'll enter it into the record that it was
yeah,
a
because it
mistake.
still won't let me change it.
We'll note that Ms. Headley has entered into the record that it was a mistake, and she wishes to vote.
He will vote.
How do you want to vote?
I want to vote yes,
Yes.
and I hit the yes button, but it
Okay.
didn't work.
All right, Mr. Marlowe.
All right, we've got 7 budget amendments on the packet. I'll review any of them individually and like to discuss. We'll take vote on all of them.
What's the pleasure?
If you look at just the range between the general purpose school fund June 30th cash balance of $4.78 million versus the July 31st cash balance of $3.1 million, it doesn't take long to eat $1.7 million.
All right, what's the pleasure? Can I get a motion to approve this report?
So moved.
Have a second?
Second.
Any questions for Mr. Marlowe? Cast your vote, please. Ms. Fay.
It didn't go. I didn't push it right.
Anyone wish to change their vote, show us the vote.
Gordon, yes. Thain, yes. Byrd, yes. Collins, yes. Creedmoor, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, abstained. Rodner, yes. Wilson, yes.
It still didn't do.
You want to,
I want to change it. Yeah, I did. I pushed it.
just tell them you want to make
It's,
it on a record, and we'll enter it into the record that it was a
yeah, because it
mistake.
still won't let me change it.
We'll note that Ms. Headley has entered into the record that it was a mistake, and she wishes to vote.
He will vote.
How do you want to vote?
I want to vote yes,
Yes.
and I hit the yes button, but it
Okay.
didn't work.
All right, Mr. Marlowe.
All right, we've got 7 budget amendments on the packet. I'll review any of them individually and like to discuss. We'll take vote on all of them.
What's the pleasure?
I looked at them, there's nothing really major, so I make a motion we approve.
I'll second that motion.
I have a motion to approve all budget amendments. I have a second. Any discussion? Cast your vote. Anyone wish to change your vote, show us a vote.
Gordon, yes. Thain, yes. Byrd, yes. Collins, yes. Creedmoor, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Rodner, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passes.
Thank you.
We have no business to review, Mike, but item D, we request permission to advertise for bidding on the west end of the press box at Campbell County High School and on HVAC maintenance contract for all Campbell County school buildings.
We'll take those items separately. We'll first get a motion and a second, and then we'll discuss it. What's the pleasure of item 1?
Jeff, that's going to be bid material and all?
Correct.
Okay. If that be the case, I'll make the motion.
I got a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Now, any discussion?
Yes, as you all know, we appropriated $70,000 for the expansion. We did one and did okay in the budget, and there was several numbers thrown around. And I want to apologize to Mr. Marlowe. He took a lot of heat over that. And actually, one of the commissioners is here tonight that I discussed it with him, and Lynn.
Actually, I want to say something. I think we have 4 commissioners here. I think that's right. We appreciate you all coming. Need to see more of you.
There may be more here that I talked to, but everyone I talked to, I let them know that Jeff sort of got in on the end of this, and they tried to put all the blame on him. So for that, I apologize that happened. That was not your fault. We can go out to bid for this and see what happens. Hopefully, it'll come in with the remaining money that we got. I don't think it will, because we acted as our own contractors on that, but we need to see what happens on it and go from there to satisfy.
What else left to be done? What are you talking about?
Well, the first one's finished. It's done, and it's pretty much within budget. I don't have the total figure, but it's somewhere close to 35 is what we had.
Yes, I think when we finish up and
All
we
the
get
credits.
the credits back, we'll be halfway finished.
There was all kinds of numbers floating around, and everybody could have done it cheaper, but again, Mr. Marlowe took a lot of heat over that during all that. But anyway, that's my stand on it. Hopefully it'll come in before we can do it, but we might have to go to some of the commissioners that were complaining about it and appropriate some more money by going this route, the way they wanted to go, okay?
Johnny, so out of the $70,000, we spent about half of it?
Yes.
Okay. All right, I got a motion, I got a second. Any other discussion? Please cast your vote if you wish for this to go out for bid.
Notice that Mr. Byrd made sure that the motion includes labor and material.
Yes.
That's right. Anyone wish to
Turnkey
change?
job.
Turnkey. Anyone wish to change their vote, show us the vote.
Ford, yes. Bain, yes. Birch, yes. Collins, yes. Creekmore, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Rodner, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passed.
Thank you. Next, item 2, HVAC maintenance contract for all county school buildings. Mr. Burge, I think you put that on there?
Yes, I did. It stemmed out of a conversation that Larry and I had, and it's got blown out proportion that, we're wanting to cut jobs and won't do this, but it was my understanding of Mr. Nidifer, and he can vouch for this, and after talking to him, it was a situation to where it would help the maintenance. I think I talked to Mr. Marlowe before the meeting. Everything's in the budget for the maintenance men, so it's not about cutting jobs. This is just an option. My problem is I'm getting a lot of complaints, and as board members, we get complaints, and I went to the director and I talked to him about it, and I realized our maintenance men are busy. They do a good job, and I admire all of them, and I don't want to see nobody lose their job. So if anybody told you that was some false information. Secondly, I realize that the workload is tough, but we've got to get a handle on these heat air units. I mean, right now, the way it is here tonight, it's been that way at La Folle Elementary in the cafeteria, and Miss Lois is here. Are you still at La Folle Elementary, or you're at the middle school? Okay, I'm sorry. Meredith, is she here? And Meredith has high regards and high things to say about the maintenance. I will say that. I talked to her. But we've got a unit that's been out at La Folle Elementary, all summer, and I may be the only one getting these complaints. I don't know. But it's nothing to do against the maintenance men. What I want to do as a board member is what I'm supposed to do is help, aid, and assist you all if we can. And the money that I'm talking about would not come out of your salaries or your budget rate. It would come from other sources such as capital outlay or whatever. That's my stand on it. It's not to get rid of nobody. I've even been tagged with one of the commissioners in Jellicoe. I've never spoke to the man in my life. I don't even know him. Apparently he tried to do something, and I don't know what it is he did, but that's not the case here. My conversation with Mr. Nidifer is, we've got to get a handle on it. It's just, and again, I might be the only one getting complaints, so I'll just leave it at that.
Well, Mr. Nidifer gave a statistic there a minute ago. There was 87 HVAC repairs. Is that right?
Yes. Is that correct, George?
87 repairs on HVAC since school started back? Yeah, I don't see how you're doing all that.
Right. That's what I'm saying. That's where I come in to be able to help you guys. It's not to take nobody's job or anything. And I put it on the agenda to go out to bids. It don't hurt to do that. At one time, Train offered to do a service contract for $20,000. And the hopes is the board would pass it to call Ray in, meet with Mr. Nidifer, and see if it's something we want to do. You may not want to do it, but is that something we need to do, or something we need to forget about, or, I mean...
Ray, do you want to come up here?
It's not coming out of your budget. It would be coming from other sources, so...
And Johnny's right. There's been a lot of rumors out there that people's going to lose their jobs, and I don't think anybody on the school board is going to vote to replace any of y'all with some outsourcing, as they call it.
Well, I think what we really need, you know, what you're talking about help, and you're talking about capital outlay, if we can get units, we can put them in, you know, and take care of our problems. You know. The parts is ordered for what you're talking about. You know, rooftops sometimes takes a lot longer, you know, to get. But now the P-Techs, we can get them, but we just need the money.
Is there any of those HVAC repairs that you guys are not capable of doing? I don't know.
No, there's nothing we can't do.
Okay.
It's just a matter of getting the parts. You know, sometimes it's harder to get. You know, I mean, we order them. We got them on order. When they come in, we put them in. You know, but now most of our problem is the P-Techs. You know,
those wall
the
units.
classrooms
Yeah.
through the
The wall units.
Yeah.
Which is in a lot of the smaller elementary schools, right?
Right.
Now, I'm not sure I don't stick my nose in the maintenance business. I never have, you know that. But Ray and I have been friends a long time, and I don't go up there and try to, you know, I've never done that, never will. But, I mean, is there something this board can do to help alleviate the problem? I mean, for all this, I mean, is it?
Well,
and if my understanding, a service contract, correct me if I'm wrong, is someone that comes out and cleans the coils and does all this. I don't know anything about an air conditioner. I know George is up on that, but I mean, is there something we need to do to help the maintenance?
Well, we do the cleaning too, but you know, we don't have enough manpower.
That's a conversation I have with Mr. Nidifer, is that you all would start on it and get called out and have on emergencies.
Yeah.
And that's all this was. So I want to make clear that everybody understands that.
Well, sometimes you got to drop whatever you're doing. You know, like you was talking about the sewer backups. I don't care what we're doing. That comes first. You know,
But when Train, I do remember, we're on the building committee, when Train offered to do this, when they put all the units in, they offered a maintenance contract, service maintenance contract for $20,000 a year. To me, that don't sound bad for all of our buildings. I mean, and I think it includes...
covers all 14 buildings. That's pretty good.
That's what I'm saying. I mean, if that's something we need to look at, then this board needs to approve to take bids and then go from there. Then you all decide from there. Then I've done my job and I'm out of it.
Ms. Payne?
I just wondered if anybody had done a cost analysis on it, but you're saying that one would be $20,000. I mean, that was in the past, but if it's over $10,000, we have to bid it anyway, so.
Right.
Mr. Bain?
And the question I've got with the $20,000 contract is, what is that for? Do they actually come out and work on the heating air units, or do they just troubleshoot and tell us what's wrong?
It was my understanding that they would service and analyze any problem, and then the maintenance would get a report, and they would say, okay, you got a compressor that's getting ready to go down at Jacksboro Middle School, you need to replace it. That was my understanding. It was, the maintenance would still be doing
the work.
What all, George, does a service maintenance include on an air conditioner? I know cleaning the coils and the filters. Is there anything else?
Greasing, oiling.
I'm sorry?
Greasing, oiling.
Greasing, oiling, and that sort of thing.
My question is, you know, with the manpower, are y'all able to do all that maintenance now on, you mentioned 1,100 units we have in our school system? Is that, so y'all not able to do, nothing bad saying that, you just don't have the manpower. So to me, that seems like we've got a problem with our heat and air units. Just keeping them going.
Ray, could it be that Train could get the part ordered for us quicker? I mean, I don't know.
Well, in some cases, maybe. You know,
if it's a
George
Train.
They work with us too. You know,
Well, my hope would be that Train would catch it. It's like going to a doctor, early detection, and maybe avoid some of these. I mean, if we save 2 or 3 rooms, that's, you know, and that's...
Train's real good with us. I mean, we got a problem with Kerrville. They'll be up here in the morning, you know, to help us with it. You know, we got it running, but, you know, he still needs their assistance too, but they're real good, you know, as far as
I guess I have one more question. If you had 3 or 4 units go out, does that take a lot of your workforce, I guess, to work on heating there? You can't do anything else.
Right.
Well, to raise credit too, we've had the maintenance department building buildings and
Right.
doing other things, and it's been out of the ordinary over the last year that they've not been able to do some of their regular jobs, and that's our fault.
Yeah.
And
And I know most of the maintenance men, and, I mean, if anytime they got a question for me that, you know, they feel like I'm trying to do something to hurt them, they can call me anytime, because I know most of them, and I'm just here to try to help you guys. I'm not trying to abolish nobody's job or anything. So with that being said, I can table this to next month. You and Mr. Nidifer can talk about it, but we've got to do something to alleviate the problem of our air-conditioned units. So is everybody okay with that?
all right,
That's up to you.
I've got a motion to table.
Ray, and we still ain't get on that.
Yeah, Mr. Burge is making a motion to table it to next month. And that's what we're going to do, Sarge. We've got a motion to table. To have a second?
Second the motion.
Everyone wish to table to say aye. Motion passes. Thank you, John.
I wasn't through talking.
Go ahead, John.
Who?
I mean, go ahead, Danny.
Whenever they do have a problem, I know that there's a lot of them and they have to drop stuff, but they eventually do get to it. Johnny knows that, and I know it, and we all know it. They take care of everything. They do a great job. Maybe we ought to take that $1,000 and harm another man that work directly, or get one that works on air conditioning that they already got, that knows everything about it. I think Jimmy does most of it. He knows a whole lot about all that. Maybe we ought to take that $20,000 and harm another man and let him just work on air conditioning.
Bring us back a recommendation next month.
And then Jimmy can tell you when they're going to go bad or what's going wrong with them and stuff, or whoever it is that Ray chooses to use. But we may want to do something like that. I mean, that's just an idea there. But I know all of us mean the best for them, and nobody wants to hurt anybody. I know that.
Thank you, Ray. Next item F, update from Faye Comer.
Hey, I need every bit of this plane.
Well, it looks like it jumped up.
Would there be any questions with regards to the activity accounts?
Is all of the bookkeepers getting you all, the secretaries getting you all the information?
Yes, and the audit is still in the process. It's not completed yet.
Does anybody have any questions for Ms. Faye?
Doesn't mind.
Ms. Rodman?
I just want to ask for information.
Yes.
Like each school, like in your sports, they have these contracts where all the line is used, uniforms and all that stuff. Does every individual school have a contract? We don't do that, Jeff, when we're through the board. Schools do it themselves.
We don't do it through the school board central accounting, but any of the schools that are doing those kind of things, if they have a contract with the students beyond the year end, that requires Board of Education approval in addition to anything that the principal would do. It's a lease type thing, not only requires Board of Education approval, it requires county commission approval. So principals have autonomy as it relates to activities within one school. But anything that extends beyond the end of a school year takes Board of Education approval and/or county commission approval. Ms. Faye's familiar with that. Principal should be familiar with that. I don't know anything about the contract.
I was just asking about the contracts that are there at the school, that you have to purchase your equipment and everything for one vendor, so they have a contract.
Most of the time, for example, the field house was vandalized, football uniforms. Maybe 80 of those were vandalized and we needed to replace 80 of the 120. Okay, another company could not really redo those, so they had to go back to the original company that they had purchased those from. Instead of having to purchase the full 120. Most of those purchases are worked out between the AD and the principal each year.
I don't think, the board has never approved the contract.
No.
To answer your question, but she's
I know
right.
whenever I was a cheer coach,
She's right.
I would get whatever vendor, I would go with, for example, BSN. If they could not provide what I was asking for, I went with Sportswear More in Knoxville. As long as the principal and the athletic director approved it.
The only thing we have is the soft drink companies.
Yeah, and it's probably out.
It's closed.
Yeah,
closed.
it's very close.
We need to take a look at that too. And if Mr. Nidifer would get a letter to all the athletic directors to tell them, you know, this is misinformation, that the board don't have a contract with no company, then let everybody bid on it. Are you aware of any contracts, Mr. Marlin?
No, sir.
They don't fall under him.
So if you do a letter just to the...
Anything that, even at school level, they have to comply with the same purchasing standards. So if they have something that's over $10,000, they have a requirement to bid.
And it probably wouldn't hurt to send it to the coaches too, all the, especially high school, middle school. And let them know that, you know, they can find the best deal.
Yeah, it looks like they could all get together and use the same company and get the best deal instead of going here, there, 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 and there. Looks like they could use the same company and maybe get a whole lot better
Sometimes it
deal.
works, sometimes it don't.
Sometimes it's timing, too.
Apparently it's not.
Thank you, Ms.
That's what I
Fay.
tried to do.
Thank you.
You mean you've tried to do that before, got one company to supply all the schools?
That's my understanding what they're doing now on the high school level. I'm not sure.
All right, we're going to move on. Next item, item 8, items for action. Item A, consider approval of one-time bonus pay for the Campbell County Board of Education classified employees. We put a request in to the county commission during our budget process of a increase for our classified employees. We sent the budget the first time with the increase in it, and they sent it back to us. And we had discussions, as you all can remember. I think Mr. Burge was the one that made the motion to do a one-time bonus, if we could, to our classified employees. And I'm going to let Johnny and Tim know.
Okay, yeah, I brought this up because we had asked the commission for additional funding. Would we have the money, Jeff, to do a one-time bonus, like a $500 to our classified?
You have to take it out of your undesignated fund balance, but yeah, you're already planning to use.
Okay, now tell me,
65.
let's make sure who the classified employees are now. That's
anybody who is not holding a teaching certificate.
okay.
Period.
Okay. Which includes the maintenance and...
That includes the maintenance.
Okay.
One of the things that you may want to consider as you go forward in your discussions is the Board of Education's budget did approve a pay raise for cooks only.
Yes, we talked about that, and...
And it passed, so I don't know whether you want to give them a bonus in addition to their percentage raise or not. That'll leave up to you.
Personally, I think they deserve it.
What was the $69,000 or whatever that number was kicking around? Did that include the cooks or did it not include the cooks?
I don't remember.
I thought it was 55,000.
I think it was 69.
How many percentage was it they got, each one of them?
Do what?
What percentage of a raise did the cooks get?
Vicki, you want to answer that? 2%?
What we have requested was 2%.
Okay, personally, I think the cooks deserve it too, and I'm going to put that in the form of a motion that we give a $500 bonus to all of our classified.
All right, now, one other clarification, because I know that you all want to treat everybody fairly. When you get into a situation, you can decide, but I want you to decide with your eyes open. You got a person who's a full-time employee working 35 hours a week. You're going to give them a $500 bonus. You got another aide that is 20 hours a week. Do you intend to give them a $500 bonus the same as the person who's working 35 hours? Or do you intend to prorate that $500 in accordance with how much time they serve?
To me, that gets a little bit complicated, and I mean they all work hard, and it's been forever.
Johnny,
it's been forever since they had a raise. So I'd like to include.
$500 straight across.
Yes.
All right. So I've got a motion for Mr. Burge to give all classified employees a raise, one-time bonus of $500.
And also, Mr. Ork, I'd like to put in the motion that it be given the check before the Thanksgiving holiday.
Okay, that's fine. Everybody got that? Do I have a
Is that okay,
second?
Mr. Marlowe?
Hold on. Okay, have a second. Now discussion. Any questions?
My question is, Vicki had explained to us before that raises from the cooks would come out of the cafeteria fund, right? So this doesn't come out of the cafeteria fund, this is all coming out of the undesignated, is that right?
Vicki, what was the average increase for those cafeteria fund workers with your 2%? What was it a year? Do you remember? Okay.
You know, we're going to have to start doing a better job at communicating with the commission. I mean, these people need more money, and there's commissioners that support that already. We just don't have enough, and I appreciate the ones that do, but we've had 2 tax increases 2 years in a row, and the only money, correct me if I'm wrong, but the school system's received is just what the state mandates.
Well, last year we got the SRO.
Well, we got the SROs, but as far as classroom, cooks, janitors, raises, we've not. So we, somehow or another, we've got to start doing a better job communicating with our commissioners and try to get, if there's another tax increase, try to get some of it anyway.
I think that only comes out to about $1 a day or something, doesn't it? That 2%? Vicki?
I had it figured, but I didn't.
It wasn't a whole lot.
Okay, we got a motion on the table and a second. Any other discussion? Cast your vote, please. Anyone wish to change your vote, show us the vote.
Yes. Bain, yes. Burge, yes. Collins, yes. Creekmore, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Ryder, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion.
That was a good job.
Mr. Chairman,
That's a good job.
that'll have to be a budget amendment for you guys next month, as well as going from the commission before that all be fine.
Gotcha. Thank you, Jeff. Good job, Johnny. Item B, consider approving tenure list recommended by the principals and director of schools, Campbell County High School, Rita Chadwell. Is that the only one, Mr. Knight?
Yes, somehow Ms. Chadwell was left off the list last month, and we apologize for that because she is a tremendous teacher. Not only that, she is one of the most loyal people because she attends every board meeting.
I don't know how that happened.
I don't either, so
How did that happen?
anyway, we'll try to make it up to her.
Well, what's a pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion, and with that motion, a question that I've always asked since I've been on the board. They have had all of the proper evaluation from every step along the way.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Have a motion, have a second?
I'll second.
Have a second. Any discussion? Cast your vote. Bain, hit that again. Anyone wish to change their vote, show us the vote.
Ford, yes. Bain, yes. Burge, yes. Collins, yes. Creekmore, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Ryder, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion is
Thank you. Item C, consider approving Board of Education Policy 6.5001, use of service animals by students, second reading. What's the pleasure?
Mr. Chairman, I make a motion that we approve it on the second reading.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion? Cast your vote, please. Anyone wish to change your vote, show us a vote.
Ford, yes. Bain, yes. Burge, yes. Collins, yes. Creekmore, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Ryder, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion.
Thank you. Next item D, consider approving school board member Faye Heatherly to make an application to the TSBA for the vice president position. And for if you that's in the crowd that don't know what that means, is the Tennessee School Board Association has a board made up like this board, and Ms. Heatherly will be the vice president of the board statewide. Whereas next year, if everything works out, she will be the president of the TSBA representing our county. So with that, do I have a motion to approve this application?
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to make a motion that we approve Ms. Heatherly to make application as the Vice President.
I have a motion. Do I have a second? Any discussion? Ms. Heatherly, you have anything you want to say?
Well, I appreciate the confidence of my board, and I enjoy doing what I do with the state, and I enjoy the opportunity to be there and bring back things to this board and to our community that I learned there. So I appreciate your vote of confidence.
Thank you. Please cast your vote and hit confirm. Anyone wish to change their vote, show us the vote.
Ford, yes. Bain, yes. Birch, yes. Collins, yes. Freeman, yes. Goins, yes. Yes. Rodman, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passed.
Thank you. Next item, consider approving special education bus driver pay rate. It's the recommendation from Ms. Linda Campbell to increase that rate from $65 a day to $80 a day. So what's the pleasure of the board?
Ms. Campbell, you have that in your budget.
Yeah.
Okay. I move we approve, Mr. Chairman.
I have a motion to approve. Do I have a second? I have a second. Any discussion? Cast your vote, please. Anyone wish to change your vote, show us the vote.
Ford, yes. Bain, yes. Birch, yes. Collins, yes. Freeman, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Ryder, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passed.
Thank you. Next item, consider approving cafeteria insurance plan. Ms. Vicki, you want to touch on that? It's just a formality.
It's got nothing to do with cafeteria.
Okay, what is it? Tell us what it is.
It's the cafeteria plan that's offered to all your employees for tax shelter.
I got you.
Other insurance.
I got you. All right. Let me get a motion and a second, and then we'll discuss it. What's the pleasure? I have a motion. Do I have a second? All right, now discussion.
What is it?
Now tell us what it is, Jeff.
It allows your employees to shelter from FICA taxation, the portion of their medical insurance premiums.
That's the slots and stuff that we created. Is that right? I got you. That was a really crazy time. All right, what's the pleasure? Cast your vote.
Need to vote.
Vote yes. Confirm, please. Anyone? There you go. Anyone wish to change their vote, show us a vote.
Yes. Birch, yes. Collins, yes. Creekmore, yes. Goins, yes. Heatherly, yes. Ryder, yes. Wilson, yes. Motion passed.
Thank you. Items for discussion. Discuss Jacksboro Elementary canopy. Bang.
Yes, Mr. Nifer, Ms. Crutchfield at Jacksboro Elementary contacted me a couple of weeks ago, concerned with when it rains that the children, the way they have to let kids out in the front of the school, are having to be let out into the weather, in the rain, whatever the weather conditions are. And I would like to ask if it would be possible for you to have someone go down and get with her, see what it is that they need to accommodate all the kids coming out, and maybe come back with an estimate for the board to look at and see what this might cost.
Well, we discussed that one other time. What did you say that would cost?
If I remember correctly, the La Follette Elementary School, Miss Arnold.
That was the last one we installed.
Was the last one that we installed.
$20,000, huh?
More like, wasn't it about $70,000?
Yeah, there's a lot more canopy there, what he was talking about.
Yeah. And I don't know if this canopy...
He's talking about putting canopy all the way down the side of the building.
And that's what I don't know. That's what they would like. I mean, they let kids out all the way up down through there, but it may be something we can't do right now, but just look at it and meet with her.
We'll get you an estimate.
And just get an estimate of what we're looking at. That's all.
We'll get an estimate. All right. Item B, discuss school resource officers program. Mr. Burge, I think you had that on here.
Yeah, I've had too much on the agenda tonight. I didn't know the air conditioner's going to be out. I thank Mr. Evans for coming tonight. He and I have been in conversation. Just basically, a few years ago, we would get an SR report, but I think I heard Mr. Nifer say that Mr. Headley was going to be taking care of that. So that's one of the answers. I guess, Aaron, just from you, just a little update on what we're doing, how many officers we got, and sort of what the future looks like. And
Currently, I appreciate it. We have roving SROs at the elementary schools, Jacksboro and Caryville. We have full-time SROs at the Jacksboro Middle and La Follette Middle. The alternative school, or the Learning Academy. 2 full-time at the high school. 1 roving SRO, Valley View, La Follette Elementary. 1 roving SRO, Wynn and White Oak. Jellicoe High School has 1 full-time, and the Jellicoe Elementary Middle School has 1 full-time.
Elk Valley?
Elk Valley has 1 full-time. They're the only elementary school that has 1 full-time and not a rover based upon their location, proximity, and probable response time.
At La Follette Elementary, after talking to Miss Arnold, is it possible to have an SRO mainly during 2:30 and 3:15 during when school lets out?
I think that's something we can work on if Valley View principal's good with that, and if we can work it out, flip-flop it.
So are they staying at Valley View and doing the after-school thing?
They should be rotating, but they spend a lot of their time at Valley View based upon its proximity and the location and placement furthest away from first responder.
Well, from my understanding, you know, she probably has 4 times the amount of students at La Follette. So I guess I need assurance that she's going to have somebody in the evening, because there's a lot of stuff happening that an officer needs to be there.
Right.
And it would probably clear up most of her problems. I talked to her today, and actually, which is another conversation, she said she needed a full-time nurse more than she did a full-time SRO. So, but if we could do that,
work it out.
That's my biggest concern right now is that, and if you could work that out,
sure,
then
be glad to.
We can't keep them off the Valley View all the time.
No, sir. We wouldn't plan to do that, and we don't now.
No, this is from.
Right, but if you put them down there at that, then they would never be at Valley View.
Well, we got to have somebody at La Follette. I mean, it's a have-to case.
Places have to have somebody.
Well, that's his job to do that.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, that's.
Aaron, let me ask you a question. What are we going to do about the transition with these 2 SROs that we've hired as teachers now?
Right. We just kind of talked about it this morning. I know you talked to you Friday. It's going to be a little bit of a challenge, and there's going to be some time there that we're just going to have to work it out with what we've got. Mikey Comer at Elk Valley has about 200 hours of comp time that he'll have to burn, and that will delay placement for about a month and a half over there. We already have somebody that's been offered a job to take that position, so that's...
Are they trained?
No.
Okay.
They'll have to go through the academy.
Well, what can we do as a board to help you with that? I think I had this discussion with a couple of them. There's about $10,000 that's going to have to come from the sheriff's budget to train those 2 officers. And maybe we can, as a board, can share in that cost with them.
I think if it comes down to we have to send 2 to the academy, roughly, don't hold me to that number, we could probably get by with somewhere around $6,000.
Okay. So we're looking at $3,000 a share.
For training.
Okay, I got you. That's something we need to keep an open mind about. But now, you said that he's going to burn through his comp time. You're going to put someone up there, though, right?
They will have to be shared with Jellicoe Elementary temporarily till we can fill that position after that comp time is burned.
For 200 days or 200 hours? What did you say, 200 hours?
200 hours.
Well, that's still 3 weeks, 4 weeks.
Days.
Then the time he's absent in the academy, we'll have to do the same thing then. Share Jellicoe Elementary with Elk Valley. That's the best we can do. There's no mechanism in place to replace these people when they take off. They have no overtime budget, period. Their $27,000 a year salary is all they get.
Yeah.
Besides the comp time, and they trade a little money for some time off during the summer.
Does anybody have any other questions for Mr. Aaron?
And what do you do when you have an officer in court? Do you try to fill somebody in, like, for instance, if you got somebody at La Follette Middle School and they have to be in court that day, do you transition somebody else? Or?
Court duty is mandatory, of course. Sometimes it's left vacant, and sometimes the SRO supervisor fills in, depending on the availability.
Okay. All right, I appreciate it.
Any other questions?
So how do you plan on handling Follette Middle Elementary School in Valley View? I don't mean to put you on the spot. I just know you can't take it and give
that's
it
an
all
issue.
the
That's
and one not get anything.
we work good with all the principals, and so far everything has worked pretty good. We've not had any complaints this year. That's something we'll have to work out with them, and y'all could help us with that.
Well, I ain't had no complaints, man. Y'all do a great job. I just wanted.
We're just going to have to share, and
Do you have an auxiliary officer that can work traffic? They don't have to be necessarily an SRO, do they?
Work traffic where?
At La Follette Elementary. That's all we're talking, is just a traffic person. It's not.
Auxiliary people are basically volunteer basis.
Right.
Most of them have regular daytime jobs, and they usually participate in the evening, nights, or on the weekends.
If you get with Miss Arnold and work something
We'll
out,
work
I'd
it out.
certainly appreciate it.
There'll be 2 or 3 in that general area. We'll work it out as best we can.
Keep us informed so we can help you with this other matter.
Okay,
Thank you,
appreciate
Aaron.
it. Thank you.
Thank you, Aaron.
Thank you.
Item C, discuss status of maintenance priority needs. Mr. Bain?
Yeah, Mr. Nightford, would it be possible to have someone go back and, I guess, recreate the maintenance priority list that we come up with last year, and maybe be able to keep the board updated on each month as far as what's coming off the list, what's getting taken care of?
Yes, and I'm glad you asked that question. I still have the list that was created, so we can mark those off.
Well, that'd be fine.
And I'll say one other thing. We've been working, Mr. Rutherford and George, Ray's been working on what we call POCAs, Programs of Corrective Action for the Fire Marshal.
Okay.
We've been trying to knock 2 or 3 of those off per week.
Good.
But, yeah, I'll run through that list, mark off what we've done, and get it back out to you.
Okay, thanks.
Thank you. Legal matters, you have anything? Okay. Recognize school board members. Mr. Goins, do you have anything? Mr. Wilson?
I thought we was going to talk about some floors for Elk Valley, and
We approved it.
We done
oh,
did.
okay.
It's been approved to go out for bid first.
Yeah, consent agenda.
Let's see. No, I appreciate Jeff. Everything Jeff does.
Thank you.
I think Mr. Knight is doing a fine job right now. Got a lot going on in there. He's done a fine job.
Ms. Sharon?
2 questions. The list we've been getting every month of who's been transferred or hired, we haven't seen one for August and July, as I did last time.
Miss Lay, go ahead.
Lady was off on vacation last week, and she's my secretary, so she just got in there today. I didn't need to look over and approve it because Vicki and I have been working on the report all day. I'll just give it to Bill and have it sent to y'all. Okay?
Thank you. Yes, ma'am.
In March 11th of 2014, the drug-free workplace policy was passed by Congress, and it doesn't match the policy that we have. So we need to meet and discuss and see what needs to be done.
We have a policy committee meeting on Thursday at 10 o'clock at the central office with Mr. Larry.
Thank you. Mr. Byrd?
I've got something, but I can talk to Mr. Knight about it, talk about it next month.
Thank you.
One question is, back in November, I think, we asked the central office to check on the bus evaluation, and I would like to know from Mr. Nider for where we are on that and what's been done.
Mr. Terry in Finance Department is working on a budget amendment. It will cost us approximately $7,500 to have a bus survey, route survey completed. That means a group of people will come out to our county, map out all of our bus routes, and they will make recommendations. Then we would potentially buy a software routing package that will go on our computer system, that we can lay those routes on a map, and we can always monitor and adjust those routes. They'll be color-coded so that if you have overlapping, and before I guess I will proceed with that, I will discuss that with our chairman and vice chairman, and if they approve it, then we'll proceed if funding is available, and Mr. Terry's working on that.
If we're able to consolidate one route, it'll pay for itself. You know.
And it's been, what, 25 years since we had an evaluation?
Long time.
So I thank you for what you've done, Mr. Larry, so far. The other thing is I wanted to thank the board members that went to summer law and that attended the meetings. They were very helpful, very beneficial, and I appreciate Mr. Knight for going, and he stayed there till the adjourned last meeting, and I really do appreciate that, Larry. And then I want to thank the board for putting in driver's ed last month, I guess. I understand it's going good, and when you get out on the highway, you will realize more so that we do need driver's ed in high school, and I'm tempted to ask Mr. Mays if he would sign up 99% of Campbell County in his I won't do that, I promise. And the other thing is Fall District. You know, I hope everybody will go. Last year, we had 9 of our school board members. It was 100%. Of course, Homer couldn't go, so, well, last year. So it was 8. We had 8, yeah.
Thank you, Ms. Pay. Mr. Bain?
No, I don't have anything.
Ms. Crystal?
The policy committee, I think I'm on that. I'd like to be notified of the meetings and try to plan them to coincide when I can actually be there. And 2, you could let my people from Elk Valley know a time frame on a gym floor, because right now they don't have one.
Elk Valley, Ms. Lay? What we did is Larry Knight and I, the director, did an executive action to send it out for bid. Now, once it comes back with that number, then the board will have to approve the bid. Now, I asked that your committee that was set up to use the money that was donated from the Baird family to determine what y'all were going to use that money for. So you just need to be having a meeting to determine that, and then so the board can make it. Okay. Are we still under the understanding we're going to use some of the money for the gym floor?
Well, I don't think there's any left. That I know of, I don't think there's any left.
We're still waiting. Prices? Prices on a computer.
What are the items? You got the gym floor, you've got the wall, and you've got the computer lab. Is that right?
A portable classroom. Mr. Knight was getting focused on that.
I did check on some pricing on portable classrooms. You're probably looking in the vicinity of maybe $50,000 unless there's a used one. I contacted Keith Klotfelter, who deals a lot with portable classrooms, and he was supposed to get back to me, but he didn't seem very encouraged about finding a used one. So that's kind of, and I stopped by Clayton Homes down here too and asked them to see if they could locate something, I guess you would say would be, the budget would be more in line for us maybe than $50,000. And I've not heard back from either one of them as of today.
Ms. Lay, we'll get the estimates back and we'll have it on the agenda for next month to approve it, to have the board to.
We don't have the gym. We're doing conditioning outside, and now we have some security issues, so we're not real sure what to do there. That was brought up today, but I'm just not real sure what to take back to my parents. What do I tell my parents? Where we go from here?
Mike, can I ask her a question? Go ahead. Ms. Lay, you said you didn't have a gym. Is the shape deteriorated since last year?
Yeah.
Or what? Who closed the gym down? You said it was,
Our Mr. Donnie Bruce and then 3 board members.
okay, is,
Not in the shape to use.
from last year to this year, is it just deteriorated so bad you can't use it? Or?
It just buckled or something.
Yes, I don't know if you saw it last year when we had buckling that was probably a foot high in many places.
Yeah.
And Mr. Nifer and Mr. Heatherly came over and tore out parts of it to see what was underneath and found that the joists were rotted underneath on one end of the floor where water's been coming in for years. So,
And once it goes out to bid, you got to bid it for a couple of weeks. And we can prove it next month, and then, as far as time frame, you're looking at about 60 days to, maybe if they can get to the floor, I don't know.
Yeah, you know, what I was sitting here thinking about is, let's just say you can do it right this second. How is it going to actually take to fix it if you have it on site?
Right.